Well, welcome everybody. Happy Friday to everybody. It's a busy Friday, I think, for a lot of folks, but it's great. Always good to be busy. But we'll get started. And then we have a really cool follow-up guest, a guest that you know from before, but we talked to him last week, and then he was going to give us a lot more insights, kind of in his own real estate journey, kind of his struggles. And then we'll all be able to relate to his struggles, but then what he did to solve for those struggles, and then what his solutions are going to be able to do to help us with the challenges we face. So pretty cool. Love the story. So we'll get to that in a moment, but to kick us off, anybody got any needs or leads or anything you need? The best Starbucks drink right now, which by the way is the brown sugar oat milk. Great drink right now at Starbucks. But anybody else got anything real estate oriented? Or I can keep talking in circles, but nobody wants to hear that.
Listening to, go ahead. I was just going to say, I'm listening to Life Force by Tony Robbins, and there's a lot of hacks for like health. So if anybody's interested, I got aging parents, and like maybe want to keep them healthy and around for a while. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It just came out last month.
Dude, that's awesome. Can you drop that in the chat? That sounds
what is that? Aging health?
I'll drop the link in the chat. I'm
Okay.
listening to it on Audible right now. It's so good.
And did you say it's Tony Robbins?
Yeah, he paired up with all these doctors, and they're doing like stem cell stuff and like testing for heavy metals and all these different scans you can do like with blood work. Because sometimes it's just like, your testosterone's off, or your this is off, or whatever, like tons of different stuff. The book is so full. Like I ordered the paperback version because I can't like write all this stuff down. There's just too much. So it's good. It's called Life Force.
Yeah, Tony's a pretty good resource. I was going to try to hook up to one of his conferences coming up, but man, they ain't cheap and they're super crowded. But pretty cool stuff. Somebody else was going to say something?
Hey, good call. So I want to let you know that I'm officially licensed as a realtor.
Nice. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah, so I'm just starting off, and right now I'm kind of like going back and forth with like another EXP meeting about listing agreements that I just found out a few minutes ago. So I'm going like back and forth amongst with like there's like some stuff in the background. I think there's someone's trying to weed whack right next to my house. So that's what I'm doing. So like I'm just like still trying to go back and forth myself on social media and everything. But yeah, I'm also still looking for flips at the same time. And I feel like this is gonna be a great rest of the week so far. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, the weed whacking is not going to be quite as distracting as the Veggie Tales behind you, but other than that, where are you, bro? That's awesome.
It always puts me in a positive mood no matter what.
I love it. I love it, dude. It's fantastic. Good, girl. Congratulations again. And EXP is awesome. You're going to love it. So
absolutely.
We'll see you at the EXP convention here in Vegas. Roderick, you're going to be there?
Honestly,
EXP?
not sure yet.
Oh, wait, Roderick, you're not EXP.
No.
Ashley is.
Yep. The
Oh.
Bitcoin conference is coming up.
Oh yeah, Bitcoin.
Ooh, anybody going to that?
Which one is that?
It's in
Is
Florida.
that the one in Florida?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big deal. I don't have any crypto, but I would love to go and learn.
I know Oscar and Melina from New Wealth Advisors Club, they're gonna be over there. Yeah. Cool.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
Did anybody go to the conference? I think it was in Denver. It was like the commercial real estate big one. I heard it was super good.
I don't think any of us went. No, we didn't go to that one. I did hear about that though.
It's like the only one for triple net and commercial buildings and all that.
Yeah, that one was a super solid. We're going to try to buy some of the sessions. I didn't know you were interested, Roderick. In the future, let's go to one together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's the commercial space is going to be pretty interesting here in the future. So we got to get educated.
What is the next meetup that's coming that all of us should be putting on the calendar, either local or on the mainland?
Anybody got one that they're doing? Keith's got one.
Yeah, this upcoming Monday. I'll be posting it in the group later.
Oh, okay. Book your flights now for next Monday.
Yeah, if you guys hear of any
Just for a
conferences
Zoom.
going on, let us know for sure. Yeah, we always want to know what kind of conferences are being held and stuff and where. So
Tay, what is the Clever Summit? You got to be smart for go to the April conference.
I don't even know this guy's name. What is his name?
is that
I'm not
Cole,
good at remembering him.
Cody Sperber,
Yes.
Clever
So
Investor?
end of April. Yes, Clever Investor. So a bunch of us are going because Pace Morby is gonna be there. So a lot of his students from Hawaii are gonna show up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hawaii will be there in force.
Yeah, gonna hook up with you guys too.
Nice. When is the dates of that one?
Yeah.
21st to 24th. So it's Robert Kiyosaki's supposed to be there. Carlos Reyes. Got
And
a
that's-
few big names.
That's March, yeah.
No, April.
April.
21, 22, 23, 24.
Ooh, that might be a good one.
You know,
Yeah.
Corey, that should be that. We may want to go to that one.
That's in Arizona, right?
Vegas.
No, Vegas.
Oh,
At
Vegas.
the MGM Grand.
Nice. Oh, MGM.
MGM.
Yeah, I'm trying
Um,
to see who else is going to be there. There's definitely a bunch of people there. Speakers. Ryan Pineda. Jamil Damji. Yeah.
So Cody Sperber's it's his event though, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I don't know how many events this guy does a year, but Pace Morby is kind of pushing it because he's going to be there. So, and then Robert Kiyosaki, Amy Marjorie is going to be there. She's a Chicago investor. She's kind of big in Fortune Builders. There's this other girl who's big in Fortune Builders, Jenna something. I can't remember her name.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Cool
I'm gonna have
panel.
to
Cool
into that
panel.
one. Yeah. Thanks
Just
for letting us
missing you
know.
guys there.
Well, if anybody else has any leads, needs, or good deeds, just feel free to unmute or drop it in the chat. I have something real quick. We really need appraisers in Hawaii, especially Honolulu County, so Oahu. So if anybody knows any appraisers, preferably they know how to do the type of appraisals we need, right? The as is and the as improved values. That would be super helpful for us. All righty. Does anybody else have anything?
I think we should roll forward, man.
Let's rock and roll.
Keith's got a lot of good stuff to share, and he's not going to be able to get it done in the next 5 hours. So we need to try to give him as much time as possible. You know what I love about this story? What I love about this story is that Keith jumped on with us at the very beginning when COVID hit, and all of us were trying to figure out life and real estate. And you know, it's always cool when somebody in our network kind of does something really cool to help other people as well. So that's going to be the story today. But Corey, you want to take it?
Yeah. Well, Keith, thanks for coming on again for us and sharing.
Thank you. Bro.
Excited to see the progress that you've made today, because now you're officially out of beta for your software, right? Which I think can help most of us, if not all of us on the call here. So we can get into that, but maybe just update us on how everything's been with you, you know, over the last year, maybe a year or year and a half since we had you on. Yeah.
A lot has happened. A lot
Nice.
has happened. So most of the stuff regarding our software is going to be applicable to the people who are doing marketing or will be doing marketing in the future. However, if that's not you, the majority of the stuff, I would say about 90% of the stuff that I'll be sharing today is just good business practice for real estate investors. And my intent today, does anybody know who Roger Bannister is? Seen a bunch of no's, maybe there was one yes. So Roger Bannister was the first person to break the 4-minute mile. And for decades, people had been trying to break the 4-minute mile. Everyone thought and everyone said that it was humanly impossible. and then he broke it. And somebody can fact check me or Google this afterwards, but somewhere like 80 people in the next 12 months after Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, about 80 people, the glass ceiling was lifted. Now they knew that it was humanly possible, and if he can do it, why not me? And they also were able to break the 4-minute mile just within the first year of him doing it. And so that's my intent today. The last year, 2.5 years really, that we've been working on this stuff, we've been able to do, quote, do the impossible, which is automate a real estate investor's business. And really, like, I'm not here to sell you my software. If you decide to buy it, fantastic. Really, I'm here to add value. Steal my crap. Write notes. Do what we're doing, because what we're doing is working. So I implore you, if you have the ability, you know, you're not driving or something, get a notepad and stuff. But I'll start with my story. So I started investing in real estate. You could call it investing in real estate. In 2016, I joined Fortune Builders. Shortly after joining Fortune Builders, I joined Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Coaching. After doing that, I did Grant Cardone's sales training. After that, I did John Martinez sales training. After that, I did Real Estate Worldwide, REW. And over the next 5 years, I joined 37 platforms. I spent about $250,000 joining all these different things. And I thought that I was taking like huge action. And looking back, I certainly wasn't. I was in the Marine Corps. I was active duty in the Marine Corps. At the time, I was stationed in Southern Virginia, and then I moved up to Washington, D.C. I was traveling all over the place, going to a bunch of different countries. And then they moved me out here, doing the same thing while I was out here, going to American Samoa, China, Japan, Guadalcanal, Tarawa. I'm bouncing all over the place, and it was extremely difficult for me to invest in real estate because I'm not freaking here. And geographically, think about where I am. You're in Hawaii. If I want, you know, and I'm in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps is not a 9-to-5 job. It's a lifestyle. And so I'm already getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning in order to get to work for PT, for physical training. And so if I wanted to call people before that, I'd have to get up at 3. Now, I don't know how many of you wake up at 3, but like, it sucks. That's an angry person to see, you know, consistently anyway. I don't really like waking up at 3 o'clock. And I was getting home around like 4:30 to 5:30. And that's, you know, 8 o'clock in California, or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. You know, like, go ahead, call somebody. They'll get, you know, you'll get cussed out. But if you try calling somebody during that time, you're going to be pretty unsuccessful. And so I just had a very slim window during my, we call it chow, during my lunch break, if you will. I've had about an hour, and that hour needed to be incredibly efficient, and I needed to be incredibly effective. And so 2.5 years ago is when we started this, almost 3 actually. I started working with my best friend and business partner. His name is Brandon Buller, saying like, hey man, when I get on the phone, like, this needs to be streamlined. I can't be loading pages. I'm on my laptop. I've got freaking Marines around me. They're all being distracting. I need this stuff to be ready, available. I need to have a script work. I need to have this ready to go. And so we refined our process over time so that 1 hour, and this is statistic, like I have numbers to show this. If you look at the last week or the last month, the last quarter, the last year, what I do in 1.1 hours is effectively the same as what most people do in 8 hours. So I was almost able, I still have not been able to quite get this down to 1 to 8, but almost able to do a full-time job within 1 hour because of the amount of automation that we've put in place. And this business model, I'd like to just share my screen and go through the very basics of our business model. If you have questions, if you don't mind writing them down, that way that they're very clear and concise. I'd like to get to as many questions as possible today. And I have about an hour and a half of content that I'd like to share with you in about 35 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to be talking really quickly. If I'm going too fast, too bad. Try to keep up. Hopefully this thing is recorded, right? Yeah, great. So this is our acquisition process here. Step 1. Actually, let me share one bit more about my story. I was when I was stationed in Virginia, I invested in Virginia. When I initially got stationed in Hawaii, I was investing in Hawaii. 2019 to 2020, I bankrupted myself, my company, and my business partner. I had 20-something credit cards, all with a little over $250,000 of debt on it. My business partner had like 11 or 12 credit cards with $80,000 of debt. I had less than $100 in my bank. My business had less than $100 in its bank, and my business partner had less than $100 in his bank account. So I went to my mentor and I said, Brad, what do I do? Did I say my mentor or my business partner? I went to my mentor, not my business partner. I went to my mentor and I said, Brad, what do I do? Help me out. And he said, well, what is your cost per acquisition? And we determined that my cost per acquisition was $11,600 in Hawaii, and I was out of money. Fortunately, I got an EIDL loan, right? COVID had just hit in March, April. I was able to apply, and in May, I got handed $25,000. It was make it or break it. I needed to use some of that money for this ceiling, and then the rest of it needed to be, put into marketing. And I was put into a burn the boats type of situation. And so he looked at my numbers. Cost per acquisition is $11,600. Keith, you have to get out of Hawaii. So we opened up and we went into San Antonio. Immediately, cost per acquisition dropped to about $2,400, and we got 3 properties under contract. We sold those properties and I got hooked. $2,400 cost per acquisition is ridiculously low. And so I was like, shoot, if I can go into this virtual market, I can go into any virtual market. So we expanded, and every month, every consecutive month. So July was just 1. August was 33. September was 56 or 66. October was 120. Then we skipped 2 months, September, October, November. We went out to 210 and then out to 320 by January. And for the last year, from January to January, we stayed at those 320 markets. We're in every major metropolitan city across the nation doing all of this virtual. And so the things that I'm going to show you, I'm doing PPC marketing, just so that you have context. I'm doing PPC marketing. That's Google pay-per-click. People are going to my website, they're filling out a form, and then they drop into our CRM. Okay. Any questions before I start? Does that lay a good enough foundation so that we know what I'm talking about? Corey, what say you?
Looks like we're good.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'll share my screen here. Step 1, as soon as a lead fills out my form, we call them. And on this triage call, we get some general information about the house. We ask them some questions about the condition so that we can estimate our repairs. We
Hey,
get their
Keith, real quick.
Yep.
I think we're staring at your desktop. Do you have the wrong screen shared?
Probably. Screen 1.
There's a beautiful photo though, by the way.
Oh,
That was his first acquisition.
I appreciate that.
You're
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
That was the biggest deal he closed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So here's our acquisition process. As soon as we get a seller on the phone, we collect some general information about the property. And then we ask them some targeted questions regarding the condition so that we can get an accurate repair estimate built up on that house. Then we ask them the time frame that they want to sell. If they have a mortgage, how much is that mortgage, and if there's any delinquency. And then we ask them, what is your walk away? Not what do you want to sell the house for? What do you want to walk away with at the end of the day? Because that's what you're going to negotiate, right? And then we ask them about creative financing. If the numbers don't quite work for a cash deal, then, well, what if we can get you some of the cash now and some of the cash later? Well, I can't purchase it with cash because it'd be tying up my money at a lower rate of return. What we can do is we can take over your payments and maybe get you, X amount of dollars cash at close. So that's on our triage call. The next step, as soon as we get off that phone call and we say, hey, this is a great prospect, this is a motivated seller, the numbers seem to be working out. At that point, then we pull comps. So we determine what our ARV is. We get a general idea of the value of the house as it currently sits and what it will be when it's in beautiful condition. Now that we know what it will be, now we just reverse engineer it. We say, here's where it is, here's where it needs to be, and then here's the list of repairs in order to get it from point A to point B. And we go through our repair estimator. Let me put my little highlight thing on Here we go. Then we go through our repair estimator and we say, all right, it's going to cost us about $22,000 for us to bring this up to full retail value. Then we plug that into the deal analysis and we determine what is the highest and best use of our time and money. That way we're determining our best exit strategy. Sometimes we'll wholesale it, sometimes we'll retail it, sometimes we'll wrap it. And then after that, we call the seller back, ask them some questions about what they need. And then we have a win-win situation because we determine the exit strategy, but they determine the entrance strategy. Sometimes we purchase it with cash. Sometimes we do subject to, sometimes we do owner finance. Sometimes we have a hybrid, right? And if we can come to agreements on price and terms, then we send them the purchase and sales agreement. And on the phone, we've built in an automated purchase and sales agreement. So on the phone, we say, all right, so I'm not saying that I can, Corey, I'm not saying that I can buy your house for $44,000, but if I could, would you sell me the house today? And then he'll say yes. All right, well, what I've done is I've drafted up a purchase and sales agreement and I sent it over to your email for your approval. What I'd like to do is walk you through paragraph by paragraph, let you ask any questions that you have so that you know everything, that we're agreeing to and you're knowledgeable about what you're signing. And we get that sucker under contract immediately. Okay, so that's the overarching 101 business model, I guess. And we'll get into the nitty gritty of each one of these sections moving forward. And so one of the things that I want to talk about is building in automation. If you're doing lead generation, speed to lead is absolutely the most important metric that you can have. So if you can build in automation so that as soon as a lead comes in, two things happen. Number one, that lead gets taken care of by some text messages or a ringless voicemail and an email, preferably all three of them. And number two, you get a notification because a human needs to be speaking with that person. This person is in a burdensome situation. There's a reason, or well, anybody that you buy a house from, they're going to be in a burdensome situation and they need to talk to a human. And so building an automation and then you getting a notification so that you can get to them quickly. So this is what we have. Like I said, I'm here to add value, steal this, take pictures, whatever you want. So as soon as a lead comes in, there's a ringless voicemail that goes out. Hey, this is Keith Gillispie with Crown Properties. I was just calling to let you know that I just received your request, or you can say I just received your form online, whatever. And I wanted to see if you're available to talk about your property. I've just got some basic questions to go through with you before I'm able to move on to your request. I'd love to see if we're able to help you out. Give me a call back when you're able. God bless. And then an email gets drafted and sent to them. There's a 90-second delay. Then they get a text message. Hi, and then it autofills their name. Hi, Corey. We just received your request online for selling your property at 123 Main Street. Is that right? And then it autofills my name, Keith from Crown Properties. And then there's a 60-second delay. Hey, quick question. Are there any major repairs that are needed on the house? We buy properties in all conditions, but we just want to make sure we're being fair to you. And then a 2-minute delay, another text message goes out. If we can come to an agreement with price and terms, you can choose whatever closing date is convenient for you. How quickly are you looking to sell? Now, these text messages, no matter if that lead responds, they don't respond, they respond to the first one, they respond to the third, it doesn't matter. They all make sense. And so it's really great because people think that they're talking to a real person. So the first text message will go out, we received your request online for 123 Main Street. Is that correct? And they say, yes. Are there any major repairs needed on the house? It needs a new roof. If we can come to agreements on price and terms, how quickly you're wanting to sell? 2 weeks. And during that 5-minute span, my lead manager is able to go through PropStream, Realtor.com, Redfin, and Zillow and get a dirty valuation of approximately what that house is worth. That way, when we call them and we start asking them questions, and everything here says that it's worth $300,000, but then when we call them and they say, I want $500,000, like, what am I missing? Did you pop the top and double the square footage, or does it come with a helicopter in the back? I don't understand. Zillow says that it's worth 300, just to get a good idea. But the importance of this automation is you want to stop them in their tracks from filling out somebody else's form. I don't want competition. If I can get rid of my competition, that's fantastic. But these sellers, what they do is they type a query into Google, sell my house fast before I burn it down. they hold the control button and they click on all the different options and they just start filling out forms at random, not at random, but in sequence. And I want them to stop filling out people's forms and talk to me. That's why when they see that they have a missed call, they listen to my ringless voicemail, and then they start getting engaged with text messages, I've stopped them in their tracks. Speed to lead is everything. Now I need to get them on the phone. All right, so let's get into the acquisition process. This is a massive mind map, and at initial glance, it's probably confusing. There's a bunch of these different colors. There's freaking arrows, and there's a bunch of words. You don't understand it. All you need to know is if I were to, can I draw lines? Yeah, I can draw lines. Check this out. All right, let's see if I can do this. This is a giant funnel. Funnels are everything, okay? So this is nothing more than a sales funnel. When a lead comes in, let me come back to my mouse here. Is this big enough? Can you all see this? I got a big old monitor in front of me. Good, okay. So when a lead comes in, they can respond to those initial text messages, or they can not respond. If they don't respond, then this is what happens. And each one of these, let me just explain the colors here. Each time you see a red and an orange next to each other, that's an opportunity for a lead to fall out of the funnel. So I want you to think about an actual funnel, like a funnel that you're going to pour motor oil in or something, an actual funnel. Then you drill 10 holes in it with like a 1-inch drill bit. So there's these massive holes in there. And then you dump a bucket of marbles in. That's your business if you don't have automation put in place. Because there's 10 different opportunities for a real estate investing business. There's 10 opportunities for a lead to fall through, fall out of the cracks, if you will. We call it falling out of the funnel. And you need to be redirecting those people back into the funnel, remaining in contact with them through the entire process. And so each one of these sequences, this is an automated sequence. If I'll go in here a little bit further. Let's say that the lead comes in and they don't respond to those initial sequences. Well, it's going to enter the lead manager sales funnel and they're going to call 6 times. And let's say after 6 times, they make no contact. Well, then they're going to go on to an auto follow-up. And that auto follow-up is going to run for 500 days. Over the course of, what is that, like roughly a year and a half, they're going to get followed up with like 30 different times. Each one of these is an opportunity for somebody to fall out. And so we've done, let's give you another example. The lead comes in and they do respond. And they go into the lead manager sales funnel, and we contact that person. We get them on the triage call, but we determine on the triage call that this is an unqualified person. Well, we still want to keep in touch with this unqualified person. Just because they want too much money doesn't mean that when and if something happens, i.e., they lose their job, there's a death in the family, there's a divorce, they fall behind on their payments. These things are real things that happen. It's who we talk to every day of the week. When and if something happens in the future, I want to be top of mind. And most people don't follow up at all, much less for 500 days. And so they go on to this auto follow-up sequence. And when they respond, they'll get marketers respond to seller. They'll fall back into the lead manager sales funnel, and then they'll be required to call them 6 more times. So let's talk about like this triage call. I think that it's really important. Think about McDonald's. You go to McDonald's, no matter where you are, you order a McChicken sandwich, and it should come up roughly to the same thing, no matter where you are, no matter what time it is, all across the country. And so having a system in place, a standard operating procedure, an SOP put in place for you gets you dependable results. If you're different on the phone every time, then you're going to get different results every time. If you are a variable, you're going to have variable results. And so staying consistent with something is very important. You can only improve what you track and what you measure. And so if you know what you're saying each time, you can continue to refine it. And so that's what we've done here with this triage call. From the very beginning, if you remember this, the triage call is general information. asking questions about the condition of the property, the time frame that they want to sell, if they have a mortgage, what their walkaway is, and if creative financing will work. And so here, you know, you get on the phone. Hey, Brandon, this is Keith Gillispie. I'm calling about the form that you filled out on our website wanting to sell your property at 203 Valencia Court in Jacksonville. Do you have 20 minutes or so to talk about the property? They say yes. Well, great, Brandon. Can you just start off by telling me a little bit about the house and, you know, kind of what you have going on with it? And then at that point, they're going to start talking, and you can, you know, write in whatever your notes are here. Then you start asking them about the condition of the house. So what repairs or updates are needed on the house? Maybe things that a buyer may want or that an appraiser might require. You take notes in here, and then you have some really big ticket items that consistently come up in all the houses that you're going to be talking about. When were the kitchens and bath last updated? That's a huge cost that you should ask. Are there any foundation issues? And maybe they don't know what a foundation issue is. So then we're further refine that. Any cracks along the walls or the ceiling that we should know about? No. Okay. Does the HVAC work? When was it last serviced? Well, roughly how old is the roof? Is there anything else that you can tell me, interior, exterior, that needs to be updated or repaired? So using the notes that are in here, we can build a pretty darn accurate repair estimator just by asking them these questions for 5 minutes or so. Then we estimate the repair costs. Let's say that I talked to this person and it's $15,000. So then I ask them, you know, so let me ask, how quickly are you needing to get the house sold? Write your notes down in here. And then, is there a mortgage that we'll need to take care of when we buy the house, or is it free and clear? And let's say that they say there is a mortgage. Well, now there's new information that you need to ask. If there is a mortgage, are the payments current, or is it a little bit behind? If they say it's current, fantastic. But if they say it's behind, there's more questions you need to ask. Well, roughly how many months behind, right? So having all the information that you need and none of the information that you don't right there in front of you, having this dynamic script is super, super helpful. So if they say, oh yeah, I was behind, but I just got it all caught up this month, fantastic. Well, then they're current. How much is the balance on your mortgage? What is your monthly payment? Now, what about other things that you may have to pay off at close? Assuming you sell to us, is there anything else that I'm going to have to pay? Any back taxes, liens, or anything like that? Oh yeah, Keith, you know, I actually haven't paid my taxes for the last several years. Oh, okay. So what is the amount of the back taxes? You know, so asking these questions is really, really good. And let's say that their motivation is high because they're going into pre-foreclosure. Okay. Now we get into what we do. You know, so when we buy a house like this, we pay for all of your costs, things like the termite clearance, the transfer tax, the roof certificate, title expenses, that sort of stuff. We buy the house in as-is condition, we go into it. And at the end of the day, listen, you can't negotiate how much a person's mortgage is. You can't negotiate their taxes. You can't negotiate the repairs, right? Those are all actual costs. But what you can negotiate is how much they want to walk away with. At the end of the day, that's the only thing, that's the only variable number that you can negotiate. And so getting that walk away is super, super powerful because that enables you to take their mortgage sub-2, to do owner finance, some of the cash now, some of the cash later. That gets you into these creative financing strategies that will allow you to buy houses. I bought a house, my last house was $3,000 down. You don't have to have a bunch of money in order to get started if you know the right questions to ask. And so let's say they're like, so I asked them, so how much are you hoping to walk away with? Now this would be after we take care of the mortgage, after we pay all your seller expenses and buy it just the way it sits. This is going to be like your check as you're walking away from the closing table. What were you hoping to walk away with? And let's say that, Keith, yeah, I don't really know. I was hoping that you would make me an offer. That's what your website said. Well, you know, I think as a professional real estate investor, I'm just as professional as any doctor or attorney. You know, they wouldn't give out any recommendations without knowing all the facts and figures, would they? Now, I'm not your typical investor who's here to give you an offer or make as much money as I can. I'm really just here to solve your problems. And I try to work with people and give them what they need. So how much are you hoping to walk away with? And let's say that they're still resisting. They say, no, I really don't know, Keith. I want you to give me a number. What's your offer? You know, in all my years of doing this, I've come to realize that most of the offers that investors make are low ball, dirty offers. And frankly, they're kind of disrespectful. Now I realize you know the situation better than anyone, and people that truly want to sell, they've already run the numbers and they know how much they can take. So what is the absolute bottom dollar you would take for your property? Let's say they still don't want to tell you. And we have a script for that. Let's say they say, I don't know. Well, some people tell me they don't know just because they think they're showing their hand. And I want you to know that that's not the case. I need to have the number that you have in mind so that I can structure this so it's a win for you and a win for me. So why don't you just give me a ballpark? They don't give you a ballpark. Well, what's the best you could do? They still didn't say anything. So it keeps going until a number is given. When a number is given, let's say he says $40,000. We observe a moment of silence for this walkaway amount. So what I teach my guys is you take 2 breaths, you mute yourself. Take 2 breaths, nice and slow. You exhale into the phone. $40,000. Well, I am paying the closing cost. Pause. So is that the least you'll take? Listen, this is the most important question of any script work. Now that you've brought it down to the walkaway amount, I can say that this question last year alone made us at least $200,000 because of how much we were able to work somebody down. 40 comes down to 30. Well, I am buying it as is. There's no warranties, no repairs or updates that you have to do. So is that the lowest you would go? They come down to 25. Shoot, you can't do any better than that. They come to 20. I'm going to kind of rush through the rest of this stuff because I'm taking longer than I wanted. And then at this point, we get into the creative financing, soft close if necessary. But at this number, their walkaway needs to be less than $128,000 with the information that I've been given. So $20,000, I'm happy to do that. So at that point, I would get off the phone with them. I would click on this. Hey, I'm gonna do some due diligence on this property, and I'll give you a call back in about an hour to see if we can get this deal done. Okay. If you have any questions, reach out to me during that hour. And if not, then I'll give you a call here in about 60 minutes. And at that point, I hop in prop stream. So now just as a bring you up to speed, we've just completed the triage call. And now we're going into pulling comps. I love prop stream to pull comps as I'm doing this nationwide. And so going through here, I actually already pulled comps for this property just prior to the call. I pulled up these comps and I've selected 8 of them. I click on actions, I export these comps. Then I go into, this is our CRM. This is what REI Automated looks like. It's built off of Podio. At this point, I'm going to scroll down to where I have my Google Drive folder linked up. I'm going to open this up, open up our deal analyzer. And I'm going to import those comps that I just pulled out. Now watch this. So it's bringing these comps in, and it's going to determine what the ARV is. Rather, it's going to empower you with the information so that you can determine. You, the human, has the ultimate power when determining what the ARV is. But if you look, here's all the addresses and the square footage of the property, the price that they sold for, the price per square foot, the distance away from the property, the date that it sold, the beds and the bath count, the lot square foot, so on. And so we use weighted averages when doing this. This is where a lot of investors go wrong. They look at, well, what does the top house sell for? Well, in this case, it's 225. Why would you go with the top comp? Statistically, average is average. So why is your house better than anybody else's? Statistically, you will fall in the bell curve, in the middle of the bell curve. And so you should run your numbers that way. And maybe if we're in an appreciating market, the values are going to go up. That's great. Let's run our numbers conservatively so that we never lose money, right? And so we use weighted averages. We take the total of all of these and we say the average sales price of all of these comps, what is this? 8 comps. The total average sales price is $215. And our house seems to be a little bit less per square foot. And so if we were to look at the average price per square foot multiplied by the square footage of our house, it's going to be about 200. And that average, and these two averaged is about 207. Now looking at the houses that are geographically the closest, right? When you do that, then if you're in the ghetto, you're only pulling properties in the ghetto. Or if you're in the ritzy area, you're only pulling properties in the ritzy area. If you're next to a golf course, if you have an ocean view, if you have a beachfront property, narrowing it down geographically will get you the most accurate comps weighted geographically. So using the geographically closest comps, we're at 217 is the average sales price. The average price per square foot multiplied by our you could call this your projected, is going to be 207. That averages at 212. Okay, now we have a range of, looks like 1576 to 1900. So now we're going to weight these comps using the properties that have the closest square feet. Average sales price 214, average price per square foot 211, that averages at 212. ARV using the most recent sales. If you're in an appreciating market, or maybe you're in a depreciating market, look at some of the areas where everyone is flooding out of that area in order to go to Florida or to Texas, which are the two most, that's where everyone is moving to right now. You look at some of these places in Oregon or Washington or New York, New Jersey, places in Northern California, they're actually depreciating because everyone is moving out. So looking at the properties with the most recent sales is going to give you a really accurate feel. Put your fingers on the pulse of where that market is heading. Using the most recent sales, look, this one is going down. Average sales price 218, price per square foot 194. The average is 206. And so at this point, you have all the information that we can do automated. Now it's on you, as it's on me as the human. Well, what are the most similar comps? Well, I looked over here and I happened to notice that all of these aren't 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. Mine is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Some of these have three baths. Some of them have 4 bedrooms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort, and I see this is a 3-2, this is a 3-2, and this is a 3-2. So I'm going to click this arrow. It's going to put those in. And it's saying using those, 213 is the average price based off of the sales price and the square foot. And so here the total average is 210, suggested ARV somewhere between 215 and 216. I'm solid with 210. Let's move on. So at this point, we're done with our comps. And now we're going to get into the repair estimator. So I told you I was part of Fortune Builders. We kind of jacked this from them and then just made it our own. But the next step is going through the repair estimator. And let's say that on the phone with this seller, they told me that it's going to need a new roof, and it's 1,600 square foot. And it's going to need some paint just on the interior. And it's going to need a new kitchen. I'm going to put in a low-end kitchen with median price point appliances. That way they really think that it's super, super nice, really good quality. In that point, the subtotal is going to be $22,000 because I haven't seen the house, right? I'm doing this virtually. This house is in North Carolina. This is an actual property that we have. I'm going to add 20% contingency on that. I'm not a structural engineer. I'm not a general contractor. Haven't looked, in the crawl space. I haven't looked underneath the house or nothing like that. So I'm going to add 20%. That's going to add $4,500 buffer for a grand total for the repairs of $27,000. Okay. At that point, excuse me, here we go. The repair estimate is done. And now we move on to the deal analysis. Okay. So I come over here to our next tab. There's some yellow cells here that I'll need to do manually. So if I were to look at the median home price here, I would just take the zip code, plug it into this link, and it would tell me what the median price point of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family house is in that zip code. So I can see, where do I fall on this bell curve? It's always best to be on the left side of that bell curve, just underneath the median price point, right? It'll sell much quicker. There's more buyers. And then potential rent. The reason why I do potential rent is not just to see a rental as an exit strategy, but it's actually to see what the monthly payment should be if I were to owner finance it out. Okay. So at this point, I can see that my ARV is 210. My rehab is $27,000. It's currently going to be worth about 190. And all I have to do, we've built this. I'm all about automation. So the only things that you need to fill in is ARV, rehab, which you already did. You did your ARV finder on this tab. You did your repair estimator on this tab. Then you come into the calculator tab. That's it. You're done. You can do these yellow cells if you want to. I would encourage you to, but I don't have time to do that right now. And then all you have to do is click this calculate button after determining what is the minimum cash ROI I want to make. For a cash entrance strategy, how much do I want to make on my money? Right now, I've put in 12. So 12%, pretty decent return on my money. And I'm going to click calculate. It's going to run a script. If y'all have read, I got this from the book Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is the largest hedge fund manager that I, to my knowledge, that's ever been in existence. He operates billions of dollars within his hedge fund. He is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant trader. And what he did is he found these principles, you know, like when this stock goes up by this much, then I will sell this much. Now, why is it this much? Is it a percentage or is it an amount? Oh, it's a percentage. Well, why is it that percentage? And he built these rules, built these principles. And so that's what I've done is I've taken all these rules in my brain, coded it into this deal analyzer. So now all I have to do is click on this button and see that right here, the cash purchase price needs to be 125. That would be my quote MAO, my max allowable offer, based off of the numbers that I have up here. Property taxes, $1,900, insurance, $1,800. I think there's going to be a little bit of electricity and water bills. You know, I'm going to have some selling costs. If I go to retail this out, I'm going to have a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. I'm going to have some escrow and attorney fees and some recording fees. I'm going to stage and take pictures. So if I were to have all of those, then I need to be in at 125 in order for me to make 12% ROI, which is $22,000. Okay. Now let's say that if I were to buy this sub 2 and I want to make a 15% ROI, then I'm going to click, I'm going to type in 15 and I'm going to click calculate. Watch this sub 2 purchase price change when I click calculate. It's going to run the script and it's going to solve. It's going to keep on throwing numbers in until it hits my 15%. When it does, you'll see up here, script finished, boom. I need to be at 124, which is really similar to 125. So at this point, I would give this person two different options. Well, I can buy cash at 125, or I can do sub 2 at 125. But one of them is better for me. The sub 2 is at 15%, right? I'm actually making $5,000 more. Now, if I wanted to give that money to the seller, then I'd put in 12 here, click calculate. And now I'm able to pay more for her house than anybody else is, because I'm not paying 10 and 2. You know, we're keeping the mortgage in place and just making the monthly payment. So this is our deal analyzer. We have this wrap portion, but I'm not going to get into it because it's a little bit more complicated. I'm running short on time, so I'd like to jump into my next thing here. So here's some more, hopefully, drops of knowledge that I'm going to go quickly. A missed call is a missed opportunity. I'm going to show you a real case study. As I was telling you earlier, it's so important to build automation into your business. So as soon as a lead fills out a form, there has to be, speed to lead is everything. There has to be automation built in and notifications built in so that that person is immediately taken care of. Think about a baby. You have to pacify a baby. You have to pacify a lead. Otherwise, they're going to freaking go to somebody else. They're going to sell their house to somebody else. So pacify the lead and then get yourself some notifications so that you can get to them quickly. If you miss a call and you don't call them back, you're missing out on an opportunity. So this is a real case study. Last year, this lead came in. This is a real lead up on North Shore. Lead came in at 1:27 p.m. This person called me 2 times, one at 1:26 p.m. and one at 6:20. Yeah, man, it's been a long time since I've had military time. 6:26. These 2 calls came in and I missed them both. Now, these go in reverse order. So your text messages on your phone go from top to bottom. If you look at this red arrow, it goes from bottom to top. So my automation kicked in. Oh, crap balls. Hold up. Here we go. All right. I can't move my mouse apparently. Automation kicked in and started texting this guy. His voicemail was full, so I couldn't send any ringless voicemails. But it's a good thing that I had automation. Let me give you the little case study. Here's the address. You can look it up and find me on the HUD. Let me zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. The lead came in Monday, January 25th last year. We were immediately communicative because of the automation. I triaged him the next day, had that initial triage call. I pitched we call it the perfect presentation. I gave him my offer, if you will. 2 days later, met them for dinner and got the contract ratified. We signed a purchase and sales agreement. They accepted my offer. It took me a little bit to raise the money, and I wasn't in a rush, and neither were they. So we actually took title to the property on April 6th, and we sold it on August 27th. We purchased the house for $240,000. Our actual repairs down to the cent were $38,254. We held it for almost 5 months, 4.8 months, and we sold it for $498,000. It was a flip. My all-in investment, which my all-in investment is how much money purchase price plus rehab divided by what is it currently worth? Not what is the ARV, what is it currently worth? That way I can go to my private money lenders and say, listen, give me money. If I don't pay, you take the house, you can sell it, and you don't have to do nothing. You will make $100,000 easy, right? So people were throwing money at me. All-in investment, 56%. We ended up, our net profit on this was $114,000. Like I said, we held it for 4.8 months. So I don't really care how much I made. I care how much I make per month. The amount that I made per month was $23,782. And our profit margin was 34.77%. It's a very good thing that we had automation put in place, because a missed call is a missed opportunity. Let's get back into this. The next thing that I'd like to tell you is that you need to follow up forever. Humans, we're inherently freaking lazy. And if somebody doesn't call us doesn't pick up when we call them, they don't pick up after the third or the fourth or the fifth time, or if you really have some solid discipline, 5 or 6 or 7. But statistically, less than 1% of people follow up 8 times or more. And that's what's going to get you the deal. But it should be automated, because energy is important. Our energy as investors goes up and down and up and down. It's a freaking roller coaster ride. So protecting your energy should be very important to you. And if somebody is wasting your time, put them on a follow-up sequence, an automated follow-up sequence, and let automated you take care of them. Pre-written texts that are really loving and passionate and helpful, rather than, hey, fool, I've called you 13 times and you still haven't picked up the phone. You know, like, you don't want that frustration to come out. They don't deserve that, and they need more than that, right? They need you to show up as your best self. And so having these pre-written text messages, these pre-recorded ringless voicemails, when you're in like this helpful state of mind when you're recording them, you know, and they get to hear you showing up. Being automated is very important. So if you look at this, the lead was created July 18 of 2020. We followed up forever. A year and a half later, January 3rd, he calls me 3 times in a row. All he wanted was $1,500 bucks. Buy my house, $1,500. We sold it for 30, as is, didn't touch it. Why? Because we followed up forever. He was not responsive at all. We put him on a follow-up sequence, and he came back, and he had so much turmoil that year and a half. His wife left him, got a divorce, ended up losing his job, had to move, couldn't float. He had another house too, so he's floating 2 mortgages. This one was owned free and clear. I just need to be able to pay next month. I just need $1,500 bucks. Fantastic. It was a terrible house. Disgusting. But why not pay $1,500 in order to make $25,000? Okay. I've been preaching about follow-up the last 10 minutes, but I'm here to say that follow-up is useless compared to speed to lead. Speed to lead is absolutely everything. If you can get to sellers quickly, there's no need for follow-up. So I'd like to share some recent wins that we have. This was a post that I made February 23rd. We implemented 3 things a couple weeks ago. You can go to the post to see the first 2, but I blanked them out so that you're not distracted. Text messages go out to our lead managers if no one has called the lead after 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes. And God so help us, if nobody has helped this seller By the 45-minute mark, the whole team gets a phone call as a notification. This is what we call speed to lead assurance. It is so important to take care of these people. They need help. The people that we buy houses from, they need help. And if you look at my results here, we implemented this week 6 of this year. So if you look at my results in the red, 20 leads, and out of those 20, 12, we were able to get on a triage call. That's just over 50%. And then the next week, we had 13 leads come in, and we were able to triage 6 of them. Once again, about 50%. Immediately, when we implemented speed to lead assurance, 16 leads came in. We got in contact with every single one of them and triaged every single one of them. The next week, I took the screenshot midway through the week. We got more leads than this. And guess what? It was 100%. 7 leads came in and we triaged all 7 leads. Incredible. Nobody else has a 100% connection rate. And it's because we're getting to these people so freaking quickly. Speed to lead is everything. Here's another screenshot that I shared. March 7th, about a month later. Our quarterly average is 35 minutes. And this past week, we were able to get it down to 16. We generated 11 leads and we were able to connect with all 11. How? Systems, automation, and a badass hardworking team. 2 minutes, 3, oh my goodness sakes. Don't touch the mouse, Keith. All right, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 39. Looking at these numbers, 39 is like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're sitting on your hands. 39 beats 99% of America's real estate investors across the entire nation. I'll tell you what, the average speed to lead is 2 days. 4 minutes, 28 minutes, 13 minutes, 1 minute. Getting in contact with these people has helped us so much. Speed to lead is everything. All right, talking about speed to lead, tracking your KPIs. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. If you don't know your numbers, I'm here to tell you that your business is going to fail because you don't know when to pivot and how to pivot. When and how is determined by your KPIs. And so if you're to take a picture of anything on this whole presentation, please take a picture of this. This is the top of your sales funnel to the bottom. Marketing efficiency, marketing effectiveness, automation efficiency, lead manager efficiency, lead manager effectiveness, acquisition manager efficiency, acquisition manager effectiveness, transaction coordination efficiency, transaction coordinator effectiveness. From the very top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, making sure that these people are efficient and effective. Efficient and effective is analogous to quantity and quality. Okay, so this is something else that I'd like to share here. These are my up-to-date metrics here. On the left side of the screen is at activity. Don't worry about the activity. Just care about the things that are on the right-hand side. We're going to look at, so right now we're in week 10. I don't know how much I spent this week because it's Friday, the week isn't over. So we're going to look at week 9. Okay, week 9, we spent $978 in ad spend. That generated 11 leads. Out of the 11 leads that generated, we were able to connect with 11 leads. Out of the 11 leads that we connected with, we pushed 8 of them through the triage call. Out of the 8 that we did the triage call, 6 of them were qualified. The speed to lead was 16.58 minutes. Out of the 6 that were qualified, 5 of them were approved. That means that one of them slipped past my lead manager and shouldn't have been approved. Out of the 5 that were approved, I pitched 4 of them. I gave 4 of them offers. Out of the 4 that I pitched, there were no contracts. I missed my shot. My speed to lead was terrible. I am the biggest hole, the biggest inefficiency in our business right now. I'm working on replacing myself as an acquisition manager. And then, you know, further on, contracts to deals. So these are your core KPIs. And these are real time. I have made the conversions for you, the math for you, if you want to take a picture of this. Our marketing efficiency, our cost per lead, how cheaply can we get these leads, is $48.04. As of last night, I updated this. Oh my goodness sakes. I'm sorry, my mouse is tweaking. And then the effectiveness, that's the quality, the My PPC manager is driving people to me, and I want to make sure that we're not talking to 100 people and only 4 of them are qualified. We want this marketing effectiveness to be really, really high. 33.67% is where we are. This last week, it was 55%. So we're getting better week over week. We're talking to fewer people that are more motivated. Less is more. Automation effectiveness. We get in touch with 86% of people that reach out to us. Now, once again, this is a yearly average. If you were to take the last couple of weeks, we're at 100% response rate. We already were at 81, and now we're at 100, and that's brought up the average to 86% year to date. Our speed to lead, our lead manager efficiency is 34 minutes. My lead manager effectiveness, how many of them that they say is qualified is actually qualified? They're doing a really good job, 84%. Acquisition manager effectively, the speed to lead, it takes me about a day turnaround. And it's not because it takes a day to analyze. You watched me analyze a property. It takes an hour to analyze it. I'm just building 2 businesses, spending time with my family, prepping to move, and life is happening. So I typically get back to them the following day. Acquisition manager effectiveness, right now I've got a 50%. 50% of the people that I pitch, we buy a house, or we get a contract rather. Transaction coordination efficiency, that's from the time that the property gets ratified, we have a purchase and sales agreement, to the time that we close, on average is 46 days. I'd like to speed that up. The faster you can put dollars in the money machine, the faster you can spit them out, the more times you can do that in a loop throughout the year. And then the transaction coordination effectiveness, the close ratio is 55%. There's title issues, somebody backs out of the deal, we can't find a buyer, what have you. About 45% of them fall out. That's another glaring weakness. That's the second glaring weakness in my personal business. But these are our up-to-date KPIs. So at this point, Roger Bannister, we've been working on this endlessly for the last 2.5 years. I love what we've done. If you'd like to go to my website, what we've done for Corey's group is that script that I showed you at the very beginning, the script work of the triage call. I'd like to give that all to you, as well as our perfect presentation. I haven't showed that to you, but our perfect presentation has allowed us to get properties under contract for way cheaper. My average right now is 38.1 cents on the dollar. 38 cents on the dollar is where I'm buying houses. And that's in a freaking hot market. When the market turns, that will go down. Why? Because our perfect presentation script retains frame and social value. It puts you in the position of the decision maker, and they're actually pitching you to buy their house. It's very interesting. So if you'd like that, go ahead and scan this. It'll have you fill out a form, direct you to our website. Wow. Here we go. It'll direct you to a form, and then it'll take you to our website. You can check out our website, and I'll text you a promo code so that you can get those forms for free. When you're checking out, just make sure that you put the promo code in there. If you're on a mobile device, it looks like it's kind of hidden. Up on the right-hand side, it says promo code. I'll text you the promo code here in a couple minutes, and you can get those scripts for free.
Man, Keith, that was awesome. I am so impressed with how far this has come. Not just, I mean, you've always been kind of a systems and automation kind of guy. You always thought that way. How can I get a little bit better, and looking at what you've done, and I know this is probably only like a half of what you got, right? Like to share, but it's amazing, man. It's like so much like so that like I'm thinking about our processes and like, how can we do something like this, right? Even when it comes to the script and having it just synced with a form that gets straight into your funnel, which they get followed up forever, right?
Exactly.
So I love it, man. I'm super impressed. Does anybody have any questions for Keith? And Keith, can you drop your info in the chat if you haven't already? Oh yeah. There's some great comments.
I kind of have a question.
Go ahead, Tay.
So I really like the speed to lead idea here. And So I'm wondering if it's is there a way to automate leads that come through a Carrot website?
That's the
'Cause
one
I'm
that you
assuming
saw that I
PPC.
had the missed call and we made 115 grand. That was a Carrot. Any website
Okay,
you have, we can work with it.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Kalani's asking, we are recording this and we will have it out shortly after the call. It'll be on our YouTube channel. Does anybody else have any questions for Keith? Man, that was awesome, Keith. Thank you so much. So if you want to lastly just talk about briefly about the software in it, like the 30,000 foot view and how it's supposed to really help. Is it just the acquisition side or is it
for now it's just the acquisition? Yeah. So from lead generation to it going under contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's defined as the acquisition process. That's what we take care of. We're working actually on the disposition side right now. It'll be launching here in the next couple of months. We're beta testing ourselves and it's freaking amazing. I literally have spent the last 3 days. We went live 2 days ago and today is day 3. We have had outstanding results and we're about to sell a house like within the first 4 days of it being listed. Owner finance. That's not saying much on the retail side. Right now, we're in the hottest market ever. Even in the hottest market, it typically takes about 45 days for us to sell owner finance. And we're going to sell this thing by day 5.
Wow. What market is that?
That's the house that I was just showing you, 203 Valencia Court.
Wow. Okay. So
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
And then obviously like the software, since it is pulling from PropStream and stuff like that, you can do this virtually, which is what you're doing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, this works in Hawaii. We have clients that are here in Hawaii and only operate here in Hawaii. We have people who don't do it virtually. They do it in person. Like that's totally fine. I give the analogy of like, if I gave any one of you a Ferrari, like you're not going to floor it all the time. You're not going to use it to its full capability. REI Automated is capable of allowing you to do virtual, of allowing you to do 100% hands off. I'm not doing anything except handling phones and emails. That's fine. If you don't want to do it that way, that's fine too.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I think I kind of wanted to see the rest of this thing. So maybe I know you do.
I'll say this. If you want to see the rest of it, I have a live demo we did for our early adopters. It's on the website. You can just click on it says like, I'm pretty sure it says watch demo actually. Watch the demo. It's like 40 minutes. It shows a lot of the same stuff that I was just talking about. Watch the demo. If you want to reach out to me, personally, I can have you over for dinner or whatever, and we can show you on my screen, Zoom, whatever. I don't care.
So this would be very helpful, I'm sure, for wholesalers, for fix and flip investors, maybe even land developers or ground up construction guys. And who else have you seen really kind of using this system? Is it those 3 main?
Anybody who wants to buy a house, or buy a property, I'll leave it at that. Buy a property. It doesn't matter what you're going to do with it. Anybody who wants to buy a property, we initially made it for me while I was wholesaling in the Marine Corps. I didn't flip anything while I was in the Marine Corps because I couldn't deal with contractors and change orders and scopes of work and all that crap. So it was initially built for a local market, only wholesaling here in Hawaii. And then we've just built it out for bigger things.
And that's all go ahead.
And you don't have to be doing PPC. So if you're doing ringless voicemail, if you're doing text blasting, if you're doing cold calling, if you're doing direct mail, if you're slapping door hangers on, like I don't really care. It's built to hold everything. By June, we're actually going to be having our own skip tracing. We'll have our own lists. Like we're turning into batch, PropStream, whatever you want. Like we have good things in the works coming down the pipeline, and our release dates are getting shorter and shorter, which is really cool. It was like an idea. It took us a year to get through the beta stage. And now we have an idea yesterday, and it will be done by June 1st.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, my question was going to be like, I noticed that it was PPC that was driving those deals and stuff, but can you use direct mail or
Yeah, absolutely.
anything else? Okay.
Most of our clients are PPC, just because those are the people that I'm personally friends with that I asked to come on board and help us with the beta testing. However, the most recent, I would say 5 or 6 clients, we now have 48 is the accurate total from today. 48 clients. The most recent 5, they don't do PPC. They do direct mail, cold calling, ringless voicemail, and text blasting. We're also going to be having like a list stacking. So you'll add in 5 different lists. You'll stack it, and you'll be able to see these are people that fell into all 5 lists. These are people that fell into the 4 different lists. These are people that fell into 3 different lists. That way, you don't have to be sending marketing out to 1,000 people. You can refine it down to the 300 people that are going to be pretty motivated, or the 14 people that fell into all 5 lists that'll throw the freaking keys at you.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Oh, I love it. I love it. I think what I've learned through this is that, because I always thought the house flipping side is very hard to systematize and automate, right? So it's a beast of a business to contain and scale, right? But you just gave me hope, because even the acquisition side, like I know you can systematize the acquisition side, but this is like a whole nother level of automation and systematizing. So do you guys have any plans for the execution side, if it's a fix and flip investor at all? Or
what do you mean by execution?
So like during the process of renovating a house or something like that.
There's not much that we can do, honestly, when it comes to automation, because so when it comes to systems, yes, we actually already have templates. So depending on what you're doing, if you have, let me, can I quickly do this? Yeah, I can share my screen here. Share screen number 2.
That's the hardest part of the process to automate.
Yeah. So these are some houses that we have in the pipeline right now. Let's look at this one. So depending on where we are, we have our due diligence checklist. That's like, once we have the property under contract, we go into our due diligence process. Just like Mickey D's, it needs to be an SOP. If you don't have this crap written down, you will skip steps. And if you skip steps, you're at least at risk, if not likely, going to lose money and pay stupid tax. So having everything written down, here's your due diligence. When you get into due diligence, what should you do? You should, let me get to a template so that all this stuff isn't gray. All right, here's our template. Get into the due diligence. What's the very first thing that you should do? Download the ratified purchase and sales agreement and put it into the escrow folder of the subject property. Fill out the Asana property card. Tag the property card with the bank account that you're going to use. Make sure that it's marked as under contract. Fill out the contracts app in Podio with a snapshot of the deal at the time. Order pictures. Get a new number. Verify the ARV. Verify the purchase and sales agreement is complete. Receive pictures from the buyer. Verify the repair estimate, verify the deal structure, drop the price if needed, order a lockbox and put it on the property. Like these are, choose a title company, open escrow. These are all things that just the due diligence, just to make sure that what you have under contract is a deal. And then let's say that you're gonna retail. So we would click on the wholesale and retail renovation process. What does that look like? We're gonna search on HomeLight. Once again, I'm doing this virtually, so I need to find people virtually. So I'm going to search on HomeLight and Zillow Agent Finder and interview 4 to 5 realtors, because I'm not going to build my team virtually. That's stupid. I'm going to use, if that realtor has done their job for the last decade, they have contractors, they have an electrician, they have a tile guy, they have somebody who can paint. So I'm going to leverage that realtor. I'm going to find a realtor who's done this sort of stuff. I'm going to gather the utility information. I'm going to schedule a home inspection. I'm going to create a scope of work for the property, pre-screen contractors. Like what does pre-screening contractors mean? We'll see this number 7 here. I'm telling you what to do here, pre-screen contractors, and I'm telling you how to do it here in the 7. Well, I'm going to find 3 to 5 contractors online. I'm going to send them the application. I'm going to verify that they have their license and workers' compensation, that they have liability insurance. Then I'm going to interview the contractor, and I'm going to follow up with the references that they provided. You know, like we do things the quote fortune builder way when it comes to, you know, your 6 critical docs and making sure that you're not going to get screwed. So those are things that we have in here that you don't have to be a part of Fortune Builders. Like we give this template to you with REI Automated. So when it comes to, I think that was a long-winded way of saying, how do I stop sharing? My gosh, here we go. That was a long-winded way of saying you cannot automate the
Execution
process of
phase.
renovating a house, because every single house is different. Every house is in a different municipality. The contractors are different. The licenses are different. You know, they don't all need carpet and paint. You know, they all need different stuff. However, the checklist, the process is the same. It's the same every single time.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
having this checklist is so powerful. You won't skip steps.
I love it. And Flavius has a question in the chat. How do you automate lead gen coming from SMS blasts and other marketing types? Do you just direct them to fill out the form, or do you process each lead into the CRM?
So if you're doing SMS blast, I would encourage you not to do any marketing. Should not be you. That's something that can and should be automated. You should determine what your parameters are, but then if you're doing the same thing and it's a duplicatable process, it should be automated. If a computer can do it, a computer should do it, because then it's always going to get done. It's always going to be consistent. The computer is committed to doing it. They're not going to be lazy or late, and there's no human error in doing it. However, some things like pulling lists unfortunately, cannot be automated. And so you go through and you say, this is where I want you to go to pull this list. And this is how I want you to refine it. And I want you to pull this list every, what's the duration? Every 7 days, every 2 weeks or whatever. And then once you get this list, I want you to update, we're going to be providing skip tracing software. Go to REI Automated, plug in the list here, map your fields, put in your email, and it'll get sent to you in 5 minutes. And so things like that, and then the messages will go out, right? We'll be doing all the text blasting. And then as they come in, now it creates a new lead. Now it's on you to contact, right? Speed to lead is everything.
It's like you said, right? You needed to figure out how to squeeze 8 hours worth of work into 1.5, right? So yes. It's not like this is going to replace you entirely right now. That's going to have to be someone else probably one day, because there's always still that little bit of attention that it needs. But I mean, if you can cut your workday, in more than half, substantially more than half, then can you get, now your days are exponentially more valuable than the average person who's trying to do every single step by themselves, or has to hire somebody to do every single step by themselves, which, like you said, leaves room for error, right? We're human. So I like what you said. If a computer can do it, then the computer should do it. Right. So I love it, man. I took away so much golden nuggets. In fact, I would like to reach out to you, Keith, because one thing for us is when you're mapping out a process and trying to build a system from scratch, right? Especially if it's a complex system like acquisitions for house flipping, or like, our process, right? With originating and funding loans. It's a daunting task to have to stare at a whiteboard and like, where do I start to map this thing, So
yes,
I'd like to, maybe one day take you out to lunch or something and then pick your brain a little bit. But dude, thank you so much for sharing.
Mind maps. I'll take you up. It's a hard yes. I'm there. I love mind maps, man.
Well, guys, please support Keith. This is a tool that I think all of us could benefit from. Keith, he's an investor. He's been on our calls, I think, from day one when we had COVID. Actually, for a little while, you were still in the Marines though, right? But after that, you've always came in, added value to the group, and continue to do so. So thank you so much again. And he also has a meetup, so go check it out. And hopefully we'll see you in the office. He does do the meetups at our office here in Honolulu. So if you guys are here on island, let's try to get it done. It is for experienced investors. You have had to have done at least one deal, right, Keith?
That's correct. Yep. One deal. I'll post a link to that Facebook group if you'd like to come. Our next meetup is actually on Monday at I think we said 5:30. All the details are in the group.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Keith. And thank you everybody for jumping on the call. Hopefully you got some value. I know I did. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Hello, everybody.